Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Oyin Bamgbose, and I'm an account director at ResponseTap. Last week, we were at Brighton SEO, and this was the presentation that I gave. I will be running through that presentation with you now. Thank you. How often do we see this sign? How often are we continually told to do this? The simple reason why we're continually told to switch off our mobile phones is because regardless of whatever misconceptions we may hold about the phone, it is still ringing. You all have seen the news. You all have heard the headlines. The media continually scream at us. Headlines such as death to the phone call. Consumers hate the phone. And the most recent one, my favorite one, bye-bye telephone. Well, I'm here to inform you all that this is all fake news, fake news. In the famous words of Kellyanne Conway, these are alternative facts. The truth is, ladies and gentlemen, we need to talk. We all like to talk, and we probably always will. But at the same time, we need to do some fact checking. I mean, who knows what to believe anymore? You see, one thing I do know is that digital marketing is tough, it's constantly changing, and it's unpredictable. Which is why I've got 4 inconvenient truths that we need to face up to. You see, these truths may be making our lives harder. They may be making our jobs even more difficult. But we cannot ignore them, because ignoring a blind spot is only going to make things worse. So listen in and hear how you can eliminate your conversion blind spot. Inconvenient truth number 1. Customers are complex. A customer's path to purchase is not a straight line. There's so many different avenues and channels that your customers are interacting with in order to get to that end goal. From consideration to evaluation to purchase, experience, even loyalty, it isn't so much a straight path as it is a labyrinth of tunnels. Some of these paths are easy to measure. Some of them are trackable and easy to follow. Others are not. You've got all these various tools that allow you to measure and track your online conversions. But even with all that information at your fingertips, there's still a significant gap in your data. Which brings me to inconvenient truth number 2. And that is, customers don't always buy online. What happens when a customer does a whole bunch of research online, but then walks into a store and purchases that product? Take into consideration a customer who interacts with all your digital marketing channels, but then picks up the phone in order to complete that sale. How are you linking your paid activity back to those sort of conversions? Are you asking the sales assistant or the person on the other side of the phone taking the call, are you asking them to ask the customer, how did you find us? And if you are, can you trust that data? Can you make key marketing decisions based off of that information? You see, what I do know is if you could plug that gap in your analytics with data that you can trust, if you could, you would, right? You see, there's one part of your campaigns that's here to stay, ladies and gentlemen. The phone is not dead. Trust us, the phone is here to stay. Why are we so confident? Well, 85 billion phone calls are made to businesses every year. We want and need to talk. We're human beings. Take into consideration HubSpot research, which also tells us that inbound calls convert 20% higher than clicks. Why optimize based on clicks alone? If your efforts as digital marketers, if your work is driving inbound calls to your client's business, why not take the credit for it? When you also take into consideration that $1.7 trillion per year of US consumer spending is also influenced by the phone call. We're not trying to convert businesses. Now, don't get me wrong. There are businesses out there where the telephone does not play a part in their customer journey. You know, the likes of Amazon, eBay. We're not trying to convert those kind of businesses. Of course not. But there are still certain businesses out there where the telephone is still a key conversion point. Think about booking a holiday, the travel sector. Think about buying a vehicle, the automotive sector. Think about buying a house, the property sector. I mean, last I checked, you can't add a house to basket and check out. Not to also mention the final fact that we live in 2017 where click to call is now a key part of many businesses. It's so easy for a consumer to pick up the phone and click to call a business. Which brings me to inconvenient truth number 3. And that is, there is a gaping hole in your analytics. You see, more than 95% of UK businesses are suffering from a serious conversion blind spot. Your customers will click on your paid ads, they'll read your emails, follow you on social media, and all of these interactions are trackable, they're measurable, up until the point when that customer picks up the phone. If the whole point of marketing activity is for us to leverage big data sets, then why do we continue to ignore this blind spot that occurs every time a customer picks up the phone? We want and need to talk. So for my final inconvenient truth, measuring the online channel alone is not the same as obtaining a single customer view. You see, we need to see a mind shift in digital marketing. Online and offline behaviors are not mutually exclusive, nor should they be viewed in isolation. If you're optimizing based on online conversion alone, then there could be hidden diamonds amongst the fog that is the journey customers take to picking up the phone. Now, at this point in the presentation, I threw it over to the audience. I asked them a series of questions to understand where they all might be in their digital marketing journey. The first question I threw to the audience told everyone to raise their hands if they could all track their online conversions, whether that be for clients or their own businesses. And at this point, most of the audience had their hands up. I then asked the audience to keep their hands up if they could track sales made over the phone. A few hands started to go down, but about 60% of the audience still had their hands up. And then I went on to ask the audience, how many of you can link those phone sales back to a campaign or keyword? And at this point, even more hands went down. About 30% of the audience still had their hands up. And then I proceeded to ask them, how many of you know the average order value by phone? Again, only 1 or 2 hands went down at this point, so about 25% of the audience still had their hands up. And finally, I asked the rest of the people who had their hands up, how many of you can use phone sale value to optimize your next campaigns and automatically improve bid management? At this point, about 5% of the audience still had their hands up. Most of the hands had gone down. So we could draw from that a very simple conclusion. And that is, quite a few people in the audience, just like you guys out there, can all measure and track their online conversions. But as we started to drill down, more and more hands went down. As we started to drill down to being able to link phone sale back to keyword, being able to optimize based on phone sale value, knowing the average order value of a phone sale, more and more hands started to go down. So quite a good percentage of the audience were using a form of call tracking, which then begged the question, how does call intelligence differ to call tracking? Well, let's go through it. Call tracking tracks website visitors' online session before they call. Call intelligence tracks a user journey across multiple visits, multiple sessions, and multiple channels. Call tracking is passive. You receive the data and then you start to make improvements based on the data that's been received. Whereas call intelligence is active. You drive insights and actions based on the data as it comes in real time. Call tracking is last click attribution only. The last campaign that drove the call gets all the credit. Call intelligence has multiple algorithmic models, from first click attribution, last click attribution, time decay, whatever model suits your business. That way, you can attribute credit to all the different marketing campaigns that have played a part in generating the call. So what is call intelligence? Well, call intelligence allows you to understand every single touch point that has led to the phone call, giving you a holistic view of your customer journey, tracking the end-to-end customer journey. So now, what is the benefit of call intelligence to the marketer? For a marketing person who can see the campaigns that are driving phone calls, the value is quite apparent. They understand the phone call value to their client's business or to that business. They can optimize their campaigns based not only on the online conversions, but the offline phone call conversions as well. And of course, an increase in their return on investment. But let's flip the coin a moment. What is the benefit of call intelligence to the contact center, to the person actually taking the call? You see, what call intelligence allows us to do is feed in real time to the contact center, the salesperson taking the call. We can feed in real time the customer journey information. Imagine you're looking on the DFS website for a sofa. But at the same time, whilst you're browsing for that sofa on the website, you also take a little sneak peek at a footstool that could go quite well with that sofa. What call intelligence allows us to do is feed your customer journey information in real time to the salesperson. So the salesperson, before they receive the call, know that you're not just looking for an armchair sofa, you've also considered a footstool as well. The value becomes even more apparent. Higher average order values. Quicker phone calls. We can start to give the customer the right experience. Rather than asking them marketing questions about how you found us, etc., we know exactly what that caller is calling about, and we can handle their query as and when. And finally, happier customers. Your customers will always feel like, actually, every time I ring this business, I speak to knowledgeable people. They know exactly what I'm calling about. So now you understand that with ResponseTap's call intelligence, you know the catalyst of the phone call. But let's take it one step further. What about tracking the outcome of the call? You see, at ResponseTap, there are 3 ways in which we can track and measure the outcome of that phone call. One way is by using a feature which we call a post-call IVR. At the end of the call, the salesperson will stay on the line and the message will be played to them. The message will prompt them to enter 1 if the call was a lead, or press 2 if the call was a sale. And if the call was a sale, if the salesperson presses 2 for sale, they can also key in the value of that sale. That value then feeds through to ResponseTap and of course the keyword and the customer journey after that. The second way in which we can track a call, an even better way, is by integrating directly with the CRM platform. You see, ResponseTap's call intelligence does not sit outside of your marketing stack. It integrates with tools that you're currently using in order for you to continually gain value from all the tools you're using, but also ResponseTap's call intelligence going forward. Now, the third way is one that we're currently working on. Not fully fleshed out yet, but it's one that we're really quite excited about. And that is speech analytics. What our speech analytics software will allow us to do is crawl through the call recording and pick out keywords and important bits of that conversation, but more importantly, the outcome of that phone call as well. Now, such a technology brings with it its own set of challenges. I'll take you through 1 or 2. For example, language and how words mean different things in different cultures. Think about the word route, R-O-U-T-E. In the UK, we say route. In the US, they say route. However, in Australia, that word has a totally different meaning. So it's getting the software to understand these different nuances. But also, when we are looking to buy a product, we don't actually say the outcome of the call on that particular phone call. We don't say, for example, yes, I will buy that for £500, for example. What we would say instead is, okay, let's do it. Fine, let's go for it. I'll have that. Again, it's getting the software to understand and pick up on these little buying signals and these nuances. It's a project we're really excited about, and it's coming soon. So in summary, ResponseTap's call intelligence allows you to track every visitor touchpoint that's led to the phone call. The value of that to the contact center, well, the contact center already know that you're looking at an armchair sofa, but also had a sneak peek at that footstool. Well, offer 10% off on that footstool. Real-time suggestions to help the contact center close the sale quicker. All based and driven by the customer's journey. For the customer, the benefit of ResponseTap's call intelligence is they have a better, more relevant conversation. And for you guys, the marketers, ResponseTap's call intelligence will allow you to understand how your campaigns are performing in terms of driving phone calls, giving you the end-to-end customer journey. So I leave you with two questions. Do you know what makes the phone ring? And do you know the outcome of the phone call? Long live the phone, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much.